Alright, I'm going to go over some basic stuff with joints. And actually the hand is actually not a bad thing to kind of work off of. So, I'm going to work from the top view down. Let's go under skeleton, joint tool, shift control. And so, create a couple joints. So you can see that the joints are all connected, and the orientation is in a very weird. Okay, look, it was much weird. So here you go, side to side. So they're all connected. If you try to move one, it moves all the children underneath it. If you go to the hypergraph, you'll see them all connected in a nice step system. There's a way to change, say, just one. If you hold down D, basically hitting insert, will allow you to move just that joint. That's a nice, useful technique. There's multiple ways to change the size of a joint. If you select this joint, I'm going to go to radius and increase the radius size. So you can increase just one. If you select them all, you can increase the radius size also. It's normally not like in a sense, everything's kind of reversed. The skeleton's like starting back, going forward. Often doesn't. That's kind of new to me. Oh. The other way to change the joint size, if you want to do a universal joint size change, is you can go under display, animation, joint size, and this will change them. But it changes everything. If you want to say have one bigger than the other, you can just shake that and scale it up. The size of the joint doesn't mean anything. Joints are all about pivot, just they're pivot points that are connected to things. We can select a bunch of them. I'm going to hit Shift P, which will disconnect them, and then connect them to one joint. And you'll see them all coming back to this one joint. Yeah, normally, yeah, it looks like that. Okay, and everything went back to normal. Remember how you saw the box coming back here? There must have been a weird display thing through bug and line up with me. Alright, so that's the normal setup and how it looks. And now when you move this one, it kind of moves them all. This one moves like the hand. This is like the elbow, the wrist, elbow, shoulder, clavicle kind of thing. And in a ugly sense of the, in a weird sense of the word, so you can see them like that. So that's how you would change the position of just one joint by holding down D or hitting insert to change pivot. If you just want to move the entire hand, just move the hand. You don't want to rotate joints. We can you can kind of rotate joints and change things around, but stay away from rotation. Just try to translate them to move them. Don't I want my fingers a little bit lower. Don't rotate them down, because this is not, you don't really want to deal with rotations on things. Alright, so that's creating joints, changing the joint sizes, and pivot points, and connecting joints. It's the same thing. You disconnect and reconnect, how you would do with any other piece. It just now they show you a connection. Alright, let's kind of start working on the hand and building a skeleton for that. So again, I'm going to start with my top view, make a skeleton joint, put it there, and something you may think about put it there. No, you want to put the next one where the pivot should be for the hand, which is there, from there to there. We can go to shading, X-ray joints, and you can actually see it'll pop through the geometry, as you can see there. Right now my joints are a little low, so let's lift them up. Get the pivot point in the right spot, and now they're all more in the right spot. I'm going to select this one. As you can see, I'm going to turn off the ability to select geometry and controls, so I only can select joints. If you want, you can turn all of them off. Actually, that's not too bad there. Okay. Doesn't seem like it's going perfectly straight. Looks like a little off, but it's not showing any other values other than X. If you pull that in and out, there must be a slight rotation on it. I'm going to get it a little bit deeper into joints a little bit further on. So I'm going to select this guy. I'm going to duplicate it so I can move it over. Duplicate it, move it over, move it over. So now I have all 5 fingers. I'm going to undo that. So you can see that there's orientation coming off of this guy. I'm going to freeze out the joint. If you go to Modify, Freeze Transformations, you have to go to the option box. Normally it's set to without the joint orientation. If you want to freeze the orientation, basically put the orientation back to 0. If you hit apply, it's actually looking at this guy. So I have to, in order to get this to work, I have to unparent it, Shift P, and then I can apply it, and then you can see my rotation for this joint is set to the world. If I go down to this guy, it's still at an angle. I was hoping that it was going to straighten out. There's multiples underneath it. Let's put this guy back. Select this guy, bring it back underneath. And now it's set. Let's hit apply, freeze it out again. Duplicate. Duplicate. And duplicate. Select all your fingers. Come back here. Parent. So, a lot of you may like it, and I actually see it in rigs, and it's kind of pointless to do it. People want to put joints at the very tips of the fingers, basically to create the bone effect. There are no bones needed for. They're not bones. They're joint orient pivots. So if the tip of your finger needs to rotate from the you need a rotation at the tip, but it's not going to rotate anything. That's why you don't put one there. All this geometry is going to follow this pivot point. There's no pivot point that that your finger would follow from here. So that's why you don't need to put a joint way out here for your toes, for your fingers, anything. You need them where if something rotates from a particular spot, that's where you need a joint. And so that's kind of building a skeleton for the hand. If we want to connect everything, what you would want to do is go to the hypergraph. I'm going to destroy all these parent constraints here. So what would happen is that these would control these, and these would control these. If this was one simple geometry piece, which actually I can do to kind of show you a little bit, moving into some weighting. So, and we'll do that in the next video. Let's name these first. So, elbow, hand, index. Since it's already part of connection, it's not likely to run into a problem with the naming it the same. Mid. Now I can see a 3 and 4 attached to this guy, so let's J for joint, mid, J for joint index to kind of keep them all at least consistent. This one will be ring. Alright, so you notice I put on the joints, I put J underscore, but I didn't do it the first two because I didn't think I needed to do that. But say I wanted it to be more consistent, you can select these two, go to modify, prefix hierarchy, and tell it to put J underscore under all those. And now they have J underscore underneath those, and everything else is more consistent. Oh, wait a minute. I did it to everything. Let me try that again. J underscore. Normally it only does it to what's selected, but it's doing it to the entire hierarchy. So let's pull these guys off. And then let's reattach them. That's kind of new. I never had that happen to the entire hierarchy. Huh. Okay. So the skeleton has been named, and now we're going to start connecting things to each other. But the way I'm going to do this one, I'm going to actually combine this into one geometry piece, so you can kind of start to see weighting. And let's do that in the next video.